All right, everyone, you're welcome back to clothing construction class. We are making progress with the drafting of the back block of the gown today. So this is our leftover brown paper. This was the pattern we drafted the other time. So plus this pattern, I'll be using the pencil. We'll be bringing back our measurements. We'll be using the French curve or the broom. We'll be using the marker and our ruler. So let's get into it one bit after the other. Now, to start with, remember the measurements we had before, keep them in mind. But here we have this placement of the former block, the front. Then let me mark that out as the front. Now, this front block, remember that we cut it out from the other side of the brown paper here. I want to show you something, especially when it comes to cutting your fabric. We have to do a placement that will make sure that the cloth is not wasted. But watch this end. This end is straight, so it has to face this side that is straight. So that if we want to cut out maybe collar or something, we'll be able to use this other side. If we check this, we see that I can manage this kind of pattern. But one thing else is the flow of the gown, the fabric. This is a way you can get to know. At this end, I joined together two brown papers here, but you discover that the joining here is at the other side. So it means instead of having it this way, I have to flip this brown paper so that the long end is here and then the cuff is around this area. Then I will be able to have whatever I want to keep away. So the first thing to do is that for the back, we need to keep 2 inches of zipper allowance. That is primary. So let us start by doing that. Never forget, we have first 1 inch from the tip of the paper for the starting line. That is where the shoulder line will be. So I will rule that and cross and square it across. Good. So from what we have here, we will be keeping 2 inches inwards from this end. So 2 inches. Let me just keep another 2 inches here. 2 inches. And I will be using the original length from shoulder to hem is 44 inches. So we need as much as that. So let me take the tape measure and also once for all, rule out all the necessary horizontal markings. So what are the necessary horizontal markings? The chest, from the measurement we have from the shoulder to chest is 8 inches, to the bust 10 inches, to the waist 17 inches, to the hip 27 inches, and to the hem we are going up onto 44 inches. Now I'm going to mark that out again at another line just to make sure it is accurate. So again, we have 8 inches. If you have done the first construction properly, you will see that your line coming from the front block will be almost the same with the new one. Here 10 inches is here, here 17 inches, here 27 inches, and finally 44 inches for the gown length, just at the former point. So we will be squaring out, but the 2 inches matter first, so that we keep that out as the zipper allowance. So I already marked 2 inches here. Then on this line too, 2 inches. There's another 2 inches here. So we will be combining the points to form a straight line that is 2 inches away from the tip of the paper at the other side. So we'll be drawing a straight line. Then don't forget, we are taking these straight lines up until 44 inches. So this is 44 inches here. So 2 inches from that point. This is the secret of accuracy in construction. Make sure you follow the measurement in total.
Okay.
So having joined the lines here, demarcating the zipper allowance, we will now create the joining of the horizontal guides. I will keep the front block away. So I'm going to join at 8 inches away from the shoulder line. That will give us the chest line. Then 10 inches away, that will give us the bust line. Then 17 inches away, that will give us the waistline. Then 27 inches away, that will give us the hip line. And finally, at 44 inches away, that will give us the M line, like this. So having drawn these guidelines, we'll proceed just like we did before. Now, this is the place where the zipper would be. The measurement to be taken out will be the reverse of what we did, because we want the sleeve to end up here and the neck to be around this end. So remember that when we cut out the front block, we took in 3 inches at the sleeve, at the shoulder point here. So 3 inches inward, mark that. Then down from the center of the back, we just take 1 inch. We want the back to be a round shape. So now from the line we drew to demarcate the zip allowance, we are going to take in 3 inches along the shoulder line, and then we'll take down 1 inch from this point. We want the back of the neckline to be round, not V neck as it was for the front. So whatever we have here, we're going to join
2 points together to form the neckline at the back. That will make it bolder. Now, from what we have in our measurements, we are going to find the half of the shoulder measurement, which is 14, and locate it on the shoulder line. So that will be 7. So 7 inches. We stop over here. So what we have there, I would measure something similar from the chest line, 7 inches. Now from the top, we are going to come down to form the shoulder slope by 1 inch. And we are going to connect that new point to the end of the neckline with a straight line. And I will also draw a straight line down so that we can locate the point of the armhole. So what I have here, I'm taking this out. Now what we have at the chest line, we are going to be splitting this into 2. So from this place to this point, we are going to divide it into 2. Okay, take this way. So from that 7 to this point, this is the center, the halfway. Now, having determined this half point, we're going to measure out the quarter of the bust measurement. The bust measurement is 38, and the quarter of it will give us stop it. All right, so we are going to take the dimensions of the gown from the chest to the hem. We already know that 9.5 inches is the quarter of the bust. So on the bust line, we are going to take the same 9.5 inches. Then on the waistline, we are going to be using a quarter of the waist measurement. So 31 inches divided by 4 will give us. So now on the waist measurement, we are also going to be marking out the quarter of the waist. We know that the waist measurement from our measurement is 31. When you divide that by 4, that will give you 7.75. That is 7 3/4. It will end here. Then we come to the hip. At the hip area, we will be measuring the quarter of the hip measurement. It was 41. divide 41 by 4, it's going to give you 10.25. That is 10 and 1/4. Finally, at the end, we are going to reduce this by half. Sorry, reduce it by 1 inch. So 10 and 1/4 will come here and it will become 9 and 1/4. This is what I'm talking about here. It will be 9 and 1/4. So what we have here, we're going to be marking out these points using our curves. So if you're able to get a good curve, it will be okay. This curve will not be appropriate. It will be too sharp at this end. So I would rather prefer that we use our broom. So we will be using our broom for this. So I will mark out the mark between. Don't forget, we must mark out from the chest to the bust with almost a straight line. Then from the bust area to the waist, we are still going to mark that out with a marker to make it very visible. Then what we have there, we mark from that point to the hip. We are using the broom to ensure for some flexibility in our shaping. There is something called the Curve Master. Curve Master will have done the work very excellently, but it's okay. We are improvising using this. And finally, we'll be marking from that point to the L. Is a long one, but we will mark it. I told you that it's also possible to use a straight line first and then curve it out. So whichever the approach, we must ensure we have a very close to perfect curve. So what I have here now, we'll be marking out with the marker. So from this point up onto the waist, and from the waist to the hip, and from the hip down to the M. Good. So this is going to be the outline of our figure, but we are going to end it up by squaring this out to the end. We will take in the zipper allowance as well. Then we're going to square this out also to this end. Now pay attention to what we do to this back. When zippers are applied to some dresses, you will have seen sometimes when there will be a bulging at the end. That is ashonyema wuleyin. But we want to correct that at this point. What we do is very simple. We are going to just take out with our pencil. With our pencil, we are going to mark out from the waist. Whatever we have here, we are going to pick from that place that is supposed to be the back. That place where the zipper will be. We'll be taking in just 1 inch. Now come to the chest measurement here. Around this chest measurement, just take about 1 inch up. Just about an inch up. So we're going to be connecting that end to the 1 inch we took in at this place to camouflage the bulging at the back. Then we also come down around the waist measurement here. We also go down about just 1 inch, and then we connect from here to that point. So what we end up having as our pattern will be this and this. Now we know that we are cutting out this portion to take in the camouflage. So let me mark out what we have here so that we can now do the cutting. This will be the back. Then don't forget that I told you that whenever we are going to be marking out and cutting two pieces, we place the notation for placing on fold here. And concerning the way we lettered the horizontal guideline, this is going to be the M line. This is the hip line. This is the waistline, the bust line, chest line, and the shoulder line. Now, what we have here, there is one other notation I want to include for your knowledge. It is the straight grain. This is where we are going to target the straight grain of the fabric. That is, this person should be slipping along the warp of the fabric. The same thing applies to the front that has been drafted before. I indicated this as the place on fold, and then this is going to be the straight grain. So with this, you reach out for your scissors and cut out the back block. All right, so reach out for your scissors to cut out the back pattern. So we reach out for your scissors now and cut out the back block. So let me start from here. Now this point of cutting is also very important. Please take it with all carefulness. And I'll proceed to, I've cut out the neckline now. This is the shoulder line. Then the armhole, then after the armhole, we cut out from the chest line to the bust line, then to the waistline. Then from the waistline, we go all the way to the hip. Maintain the curvature that is there so that you don't have abnormal figure. Then from the hip line, we go all the way down to the end. That is the end of the dress. Now, as I cut out the hem, I also want to tell you something about a principle of cutting. That is the stroke of cutting. If it is a straight line like this one, we use this long stroke. Just like you can see, I open wide the mouth of the scissors and press it for a long distance. Whereas if it is for a curve like that of the neckline or the armhole, it's going to be short stroke. Now, we're also going to cut out this correction here. Some people may show you pattern drafting without cutting out this point, but what often happens is the budging at the back. In fact, I saw that kind of dress on some ladies today, because the back end up having some puffiness around the middle of the back. That is what this camouflage is used for correcting. And finally, remove that little excess. Okay, so this is going to be the back block of the gown, and this is the front. So we are going to be moving next to the drafting of the sleeve. That is something that every one of you should be able to handle. Another video will be made on that, and then we'll transfer the pattern that we have drafted here to the fabric. All right, thank you, and see you in the sleeve drafting class.